Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today is Wednesday, August 24th, and as you can see it's 82 degrees outside, so definitely no snow melt videos, but we can still do some stuff down here. And one of the things I've been meaning to do is give these two tankless units a good flush and clean with vinegar. Now, you know, for those of you that have been following along with my channel and watching all the videos, you know, we're coming up on almost 2 years, you know, maybe 18, 19, 20 months since this has been up and running, at least with the hot water portion of it. And it's overdue. I should have done this last summer, didn't get a chance to do it. You're really supposed to do this every year. Luckily, our water's not too bad here, so we should be okay. But anyway, I thought I'd get the GoPro out here and bring you guys along. So I'll just tell you what I'm gonna do, and I'll set you guys up in the tripod here, and I'll let you watch me do it. So fortunately, I have 2 units, so what I can do is actually do them one at a time, shut one of them down, clean it while the other one still responds as normal and, you know, gives me hot water if needed. Obviously the radiant or the snowmelt aren't running now in August, but hot water's still calling. It'll probably throw an error code on unit 1, this one, when that one's disconnected, and I think it'll probably do the same vice versa, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I could take the covers off and unlink them, uneasy link them and all of that, but I think it'll be fine, and it'll be a good test to find out, you know, if one of them were to go down, will the other one still step up and handle everything without having to do that? So it'll be fun. There is a procedure in the manual that you have to do to put these things into like a cleaning mode. If you just shut them off, the valve inside actually closes, and then you won't get any water moving through the units at all, and that's not what we want. I need these things wide open so that I can close off these isolation valves and hook up my pump. It's the same pump that I use to fill the system, if you guys have seen those videos, except I've cleaned it all out so there's no glycol in it. And basically I'm going to hook up the output of that pump to the inlet side here. I'm going to close this inlet valve. We're going to pump through the unit. We're going to come down out this isolation valve and back into the bucket. Now there are filters in here. I will clean those out before we start pumping, and I'll clean them out after, and maybe periodically in between. We'll see. I do have spares. You can pick these up on Supply House. They're cheap. In fact, I'm going to get a couple more for my next order. And so it makes it real easy to just swap them out. Then I can go upstairs in the sink and use a toothbrush and clean these off real good. And you know, the next time we go to swap them, it's just that easy. I've done videos on that before. So anyway, yeah, that's the plan here tonight. I might get one of them done tonight because I want to let this run for at least a good hour, hour and a half, and then maybe tomorrow night I'll do the other one. But I'm curious to see if it makes a difference with the flow. Right now I'm getting like 3.5, 3.6 per unit. I know when they were brand new filters, new system, I was getting like 3.8, 3.9. I've noticed as time goes on, they'll slowly drop down to 3. That tells me that those little filters in there are getting plugged. I'll swap them out. It jumps right back up to 3.8. I haven't noticed anything, you know, obviously that's saying that this needs to be cleaned. I just know you're supposed to do it, but functionality wise and performance wise, they're still running just like the day they were new. They come on as normal, no error codes, no nothing like that. So I think the intent is to try to keep it that way. So anyway, I'll get all set up here. I'll let the GoPro run, and maybe I'll speed it up so you don't have to sit through all the boring stuff, and we'll go from there. think that's really going to stop any fine particles from getting in there. That's a pretty big filter, but we'll use it. Okay, so we have our flow going through the pump and in. Just have to grab one more hose to come here to go back to the bucket. But what we can do to prime the pump is just slowly open this. So that'll go down, it'll backfeed through the pump, and it should empty out of here. So we're going backwards. Okay, well, I'll empty that out, but that way now the pump should be full and it should be primed. It should be good to go there. We go grab another hose. Got one right here. This we use the good hoses for the pump side, the suction and pressure. Really shouldn't be a lot of pressure on this because it's not like it's closed. It's pretty open. So the thing I want to do here is first let's keep that up if we can get it to stay there. Let's empty this into the sump pan here. Actually, I'm going to go to the sink because that sump pit is totally dry right now because it's been a very dry summer. And I might want to clean that out before I put any water in there. So I'm going to take this over to the sink. Alright, that in there, that in there. Now I want to zip tie those because just from the past experience of doing this, I know that it tends to go real wild and it'll blow. It might blow that hose out. I don't want to do that. So take a couple zip ties here. Just maybe one on here, like this. Should keep that in there, and then we'll get another one down in here, like. Maybe like that. See how this works out for us here. Hopefully we get a nice little circular flow in the bucket there. Okay. Now, let's get some vinegar in there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus gallons here. Let's see how many we really need to do this. Luckily it's cheap, and I'm just using regular distilled you know, regular old white vinegar for this. It stinks, but it does a great job at cleaning out all that scale. I think what I actually might do too is try to drain this. There's a Wegmans one. Really, the brand doesn't matter. It's all just vinegar. It's 3. Alright, we can start with that. Now, the manual says that what you want to do here is shut the gas off to the unit. So we'll shut the gas off, turn the power off to the unit, and then wait a couple of seconds and turn it on again. Probably because of this whole primary secondary multi-link, it's not responding to that, so we're just going to pull the plug, wait a couple seconds, plug it back in, wait 30 seconds, and then turn the power off again. Okay. Alright, close the inlet water valve. Done. If the heater is part of an EZ-Link or multi-link system, close the inlet and outlet water valves to isolate the heater. Then proceed to step 6, okay, which it is. Have a bucket or pan to catch the water from the unit's drain. If isolation valves are installed, open the drains to drain the water. Okay, which they are. So we're good there. Do not lose the O-rings that will be on the 2 drain plugs. Okay, yeah, we don't have to worry about that. Wait a few minutes to make sure all the water is drained. Clean the filter. And then go ahead and flush it. Okay, so let's do that. So, of course I already zip tied it, but you know what, I've got another hose here. And I really didn't want to go into that sump pump, but I'm probably going to have to. So let's unscrew the discharge here. Right there for now. Let's screw this one on, which is just going into the sump pump for now. And let's open this up so it should drain. We're getting some water out, but not quite as much as I thought we would, so that's alright. Let's pull that filter, see how that looks. Get a towel. There's a whole bunch of water coming out of that, and actually that filter's not too bad. But we're draining most of the water out of the unit right here. Probably should have had something else to catch this with, but at least it's not going all in my pumps. But let's just throw another filter in there real quick, and I mean, it's good. I kind of want it to drain out because I'd rather have more vinegar in here than water. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is draining out of there. So we'll go ahead and put a clean filter in. And I'll just tighten that up a little bit. Don't go crazy on it here. Okay. Now if we did that right, we should have a good flow. It should start sucking in that vinegar, pumping it up through, out, back into the bucket. Now it's going to suck some of that down, so we might need to be ready to go here with another gallon, but I can always shut the pump off. So yeah, I think we're good. This unit can't fire, it's unplugged, gas is off. Isolation valves are open and it's isolated. So let's fire it up and see what happens here. Alright, well we just purged all the water out. Perfect. Now I want to take this hose off. Hook this one back up. Okay, and now we should be good to go. Open that back up. And like I said earlier, we are getting an error, 761, which I do believe means that it can't talk to that unit, and it's saying unit number 2. So that's okay, because it's unplugged. So let's go ahead and fire that back up now, and now we should be putting the vinegar right back into the bucket. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we are getting a very good flow coming out of that hose. And it's vinegar. Alright, so we're going to let that cook. Okay guys, 8:22. It's been exactly an hour here. We've had this cooking, and surprisingly, the vinegar in that bucket does not look that bad. Let me take it out here. I'll show you. And there might be, I don't know if that's bubbles. Looks like maybe bubbles down there, but it's not like green. I mean, I've seen some YouTube videos where this stuff is nasty after running for an hour through there. This doesn't look that bad, really. There is a little bit of a ring around there, which is like a black soot, and it might be from the hose. I don't know. I mean, the same hoses I used to fill the system with glycol, they've been flushed, but yeah, so that's pretty good sign, I guess. I was a little worried that you know, being a little overdue on this might have been a problem. Sorry for the camera noise here. I'm trying to get you back to the And yeah, another good news, while it was running during that hour, the tank did call, and unit number 1 fired up and handled the load and then shut off. It only took like an extra minute or 2 from when both units handle it. So, I mean, obviously that pump was now only pumping through one unit, so you're getting a higher flow on this one versus having it split, but handled it fine. So that's always good to know that if one of these does go down, I've still got the other one that'll keep me going. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut this off. This is the output. I'm going to grab my other hose here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to reuse this vinegar when we go to do the other unit. I got 3 more gallons up there that I'll use to do unit number 1, and then I also want to flush this heat exchanger, so I'll show you guys how I do that. But let's break this vacuum here. We'll just lift this up and get most of that into the bucket here. Should be most of that. Okay, that's pretty much empty. I'll just lay that here for now. Now I want to give this a really good flush, so I'll show you how I'm going to do that with water. So first I'm going to put my outgoing hose on here. Put that down in the crock. And I'm going to open it back up. Which will now drain a lot of that vinegar both ways. You know, so whatever's in here is draining back into the bucket. Whatever's in here is draining into the sump pump. It's just vinegar, so it's, you know, regular white distilled vinegar. It's not toxic, it's harmless, won't hurt anything. So we're going to let that drain. I did, while that was going, take the filter upstairs and I gave that a real good scrub, let it soak in again, white vinegar upstairs. Scrubbed it out with a toothbrush, flushed it real good. So we'll go ahead and swap this back in and we'll take a look at that filter and see if that got anything from the flush here. And then what I'll do is basically close the inlet and I'll open the cold water line. So the cold will feed through, come out here, and we'll just flush some cold water through into the sump pit for a good, I don't know, a couple of minutes, give it a really good flush. Then we'll close the isolation valves, open up these, put the unit back in service, turn the gas on, and we're good to go. I thought about maybe just doing the other unit tonight too, you know, but this pump is getting pretty hot. I mean, it's probably okay, but it's pretty hot. I think we'll let that rest, and you know, we'll tackle unit number 1 tomorrow night. So that sounds like it's pretty much done. Grab our towel here just in case. And I usually just shove it in here. I mean, you don't get a ton of water that comes out of this because it's pretty much drained. And usually you can do this by hand, but I do like to give them just a little. When I put them in, I tighten them just a little bit with the wrench, which makes it really nice and tight. So this should be a pretty quick swap. Pull that out. Put this one in. Again, just a teeny little. Let's take a look at that. There is some garbage on there, but it's not bad. It's not what I would consider to be bad. I mean, I've taken these out before when the units are down to like, I don't know, 2.5 gallons a minute. You know it's plugged. I've taken it out where it's just all garbage, and I think that's just, you know, it's just garbage from the lines, from soldering, pipe dope, all that sort of stuff from building it. And, you know, it's finally getting lighter and lighter 2 years later, but you still get a little bit of garbage in there. So we'll set this aside, and we're going to close this. And actually what I can do is go ahead and unhook this. We could leave the pump primed. I mean, we could empty the pump and everything to get really fresh vinegar in there, but this stuff doesn't look that bad, so I'm just going to go ahead and hook it up here to where we're going to be needing it tomorrow night. Now this is off, so I'm going to go ahead and slowly open my cold, which is going to let cold water come in, go through. It still can't go back to the tank, so it's going to come out and go right into my sump pit. Hopefully you guys can see this here. Now I got to be careful, because if I do this all at once full bore, it'll blow that hose right out of there. I learned that the hard way installing this. So let's go ahead and open this up. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me take a look here. Yeah, you can see it. So we're getting a really good just flow of water. Yeah, it's not vinegary at all anymore, so and I do have a leak sensor in there that's attached to my smart things, so of course that's telling me that there's a leak, which there's not. I'll pull that out, just one of these. It sends a notice to my phone here basically saying that moisture is detected, and love this thing. So we'll just set this up here for now. That's probably pretty good. Let's go ahead and give it one big full. Okay. So now we should be good. In fact, what I might do is just do that the other way. I'll purge this. We'll shut it off here first. And technically we can open that. We can open that. Make sure I'm not leaking there, which doesn't appear to be, so we're good. Sometimes those filters, if you don't get them tight enough, they'll drip. That's one of the reasons I use the wrench. And then tomorrow night we're going to start by draining everything in here just like we did tonight, and we'll turn it on and purge until we get vinegar coming out of the line. So we'll go ahead and set that up for tomorrow night. And now all we need to do here is turn the gas back on, plug it back in. Come on, we got 000 on the display. Again, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the error went away on unit 1, and now we're in standby on unit 2. Okay, so we're good. Everything's all good. Just going to, I don't think that's leaking, but I just want to give it just a little bit, just a little tenth of a turn there, more tighten. Okay, so now this filter can be cleaned and set aside for the next time. And we've got a nice clean one ready to go for tomorrow night. Set that there along with the wrench. So we'll swap those out tomorrow night, and we're good to go. I'll go ahead and empty this vinegar out, and yeah, maybe what I'll do tomorrow night is the same thing we did tonight. We'll start by back flushing this, so any old vinegar that is in the pump or anything. I mean, technically I could do that right now, really, is just turn this on and it'll push cold water backwards. It's actually vinegar that's still in those lines. It'll push it backwards into the bucket. flush all that vinegar out of there. And there we go. And tomorrow night we'll do the whole thing again. So yeah, hopefully this is all making sense to you guys, and maybe tomorrow night what we'll do when we're done is we'll also do this. So what I want to do here on the primary loop, I installed these isolation valves, so I can shut this off here. If it'll shut off, I can shut this off here. And now this side of the heat exchanger, the domestic side, is isolated. So I'll hook up here, I'll hook up here, I'll turn those on, we'll flush. Because all this is a flat plate heat exchanger. It's basically the same thing, not exactly, but it's close to what's in these units. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flush that. But for now we need the water to flow through there for showers and stuff, so we'll leave those open. And I'll empty this bucket and we'll pick up tomorrow night for unit number 2. I'll bring you guys back along. Okay guys, so it is the next night here. It is now the 25th. And we're going to basically rinse and repeat, literally. I got the bucket all clean. It did leave some kind of black, I don't know what that is, but stained the bucket. That's where the 2 water levels were. This is where the vinegar ended up, and this is after we flushed the water into it. But yeah, I scrubbed that with Dawn and everything. That won't come off, so kind of interesting. So first things first, let's get our vinegar going here. We used 3 gallons last night. Seemed to do the trick. So we'll go ahead and do that again real quick here. Okay, there's our 3 gallons. Okay, so just like last night, I think what we're going to do first here is we'll shut unit number 1 down, and we'll change a filter in it. I got the clean one ready to go right here, so we'll do that first. So we're going to shut the gas off. We're going to disconnect the power. We're going to plug it back in. We're going to wait 30 seconds. We're going to pull the power again. Alright, so now if we shut off the out and we open this up, we should get a full flow of water through, because I haven't closed this yet. So we'll make sure that the valve inside the unit is open. Yep, okay, we got full flow. So we're going to shut that off. And we're going to, we'll open up the outlet here. And go ahead and start zip tying our hoses on here again. Okay, there's our intake. So we'll go ahead and open this up as well. That'll go ahead and let some air drain through there. It's not so good. Had some rusty garbage kind of come out of that pipe when we did that. I wonder if that's from sitting in the pump. Kind of sucks. It's floating around in there now. Well, maybe that filter will, I'm sure that filter will grab it. Probably shouldn't have let the water sit in the pump all night. Still draining out, so we're going to let it do that for a minute. Get all that water out of there. We'll grab our towel. Okay, it sounds like it's done, so let's go ahead and change this filter out here. And again, that's not too bad, just like last night. Do have a little bit of water running out of there. We're going to let that go. Okay, that's pretty good. And we'll put the clean filter in. Okay. Alright. So first things first, we are going to turn on the pump just like I did last night and suck in that vinegar until it starts coming out full down here. We'll get ready to turn that off. So the pump is primed with vinegar and it's all the way through the unit, so we're going to disconnect this hose here. We're going to hook up our other one here. We'll get this in the bucket as well. Back on and we'll fire up our pump. Okay, we've given that a nice hour. Looks pretty good again. I don't see a lot of garbage in there, just it's leaving a black mark inside of the bucket. I don't know really what that's from, but anyway, so it seemed to be good to go. I'm debating if I should just go ahead and flush this tonight. Kind of all out of vinegar, so I'd have to go get some more if we want to do that in a separate thing. I do see some. Yeah, I guess there is garbage in there. It's almost like sediment at the bottom of the bucket. So that's good. So it cleaned out something. Yeah, vinegar's cheap, easy to come by at the grocery store, so I'll just wrap this up now and again let that pump cool down, and we'll hit that another night. Again, same thing, a little different because you don't have to mess with the gas valve and all that, but I explained last night all I'm going to do is shut this off, hook it up, purge it, flush it with vinegar, same thing. And when I'm done, give it a good purge with water, we're good to go. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and crack this here. I'm going to lift it up and try to get all that vinegar back into the bucket here. Black. I don't know what that is. It's whatever's coming out of it, so it's good, I guess. Set that here, and We'll hook back up our purge here. Make sure that's down in there pretty good. Definitely don't want it resting on the sump pump float. That would be bad. Let's get it over on this side here. There we go. Alright. So we'll go ahead and leave that one off. We'll turn this on. And, you know, we could, like last night, we could drain most of this out. And we'll go ahead and we'll give the hot water heater a good purge. So we're letting clean cold water in. It can't come and go to the bucket, so it's going through the unit. It can't go back to the heater, so it's coming out, going into the sump pump. It's a little hot. It looks like hot water because this just ran. I had the camera off, but the tank did call for heat. Unit number 2 took care of the demand. So the water in the lines is hot, 140. But now it's starting to get cold. Cold water coming in from the street. Wide open. Okay. Give that a nice purge there. In fact, I'm going to do what I did last night. While this is on, I'm going to open this up a little bit. And then instead of closing it from here, I'll close it from here so that we have positive pressure in it and no air. Okay. Then what we'll do is same thing as last night. We'll turn this on, which will back flush the pump out into the bucket. So we'll go ahead and do that a little bit. Okay, we're good there. Go ahead and open the return back up, turn the gas valve back on, plug the unit back in. Once that boots up, that error code should go away, and then both units should be in standby. You know, the other thing I forgot to do, you guys didn't remind me, you're supposed to remind me, is gotta change that filter out. Put that filter back in. So let's go ahead and do that. That's kind of easy. I mean, really, you don't even need to shut the unit off, but we'll go ahead and power it off. 2 seconds, plug it in, wait 30. Sometimes when I drain it normally, I'll just shut these off and the valve in there is typically closed and nothing will leak out. I'll just swap the filter, but we'll go ahead and do it the right way now since we're doing it. It's probably been about 30 seconds. Shut it off. Close our valves. Drain it, grab our towel, get ready to swap these out quickly. Again, not too bad, but there is some garbage on there. We'll go clean that. Tighten this up. And again, I'm not going crazy on it with this wrench. I mean, really, you're supposed to do hand tight only on these, but I like to give it just a little, like, tenth of a turn. Tenth of a turn tight. Seems to work good. So now we'll go ahead, give it another purge. Get whatever air we just let in there out. You can hear the air. That should be pretty good. Open her back up, plug her back in, gas valve on, and we should be good to go now. Now we can start disconnecting these. And tonight I will take this pump out to the driveway. I'll take these hoses off and I'll really flush it out, because first turned it on tonight, there was some brown rusty particles that came out, and I can only assume it either came from one of these ends, which don't look horrible, or it came from inside the pump, which probably is my fault for letting it sit there overnight with water in it. So that's it. That's how you flush tankless units, and it's pretty simple. Obviously mine's a little bit more involved because I have two of them and I have this complex system, but anybody with a tankless water heater, as long as you have some form of isolation valve, it's that easy. It's not rocket science. I should have done it about a year ago, but luckily, just looking at the bucket, I think we're okay. I don't see a whole ton of horrible stuff that came out of there, so I think we're fine. But anyway, maybe I'll bring you guys back to do that maybe tomorrow night. If not, I'll probably post the video. You guys get the idea at this point. And yeah, for those of you that stuck around, I do have a little bit of a surprise for you if you're watching this at the end of the video. So, if you've watched all my videos, you'll know that originally this was a stainless steel electric tank, and I removed the heating element out of it, okay, and I also removed the thermostat out of it, and I hooked it up through that aquastat there, and I just basically made it just a buffer tank. That's all it is for me. There's no element. I took the well in here where that heating element used to go, and I turned that into the hole, and I turned it into an aquastat well, basically where the probe for that aquastat goes inside. So, sneak peek of what's coming up here probably in the next couple of months. Some new videos for those of you that stuck around till the end of this one and are still watching. We are going to be putting solar panels on the house, and one thing with doing that is obviously I want to kind of start to convert some things over to electric. Now obviously I don't think, I mean maybe down the road, but it's having an electric system big enough to heat the driveway, you know, with electric wire, don't know that I ever would have done that. I still think natural gas is much more efficient, although with solar, you know, but in the winter you're typically not getting your highest productivity out of the solar. So anyway, what I'm going to start with here, obviously I'm not going to undo any of this, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put that heating element back in that tank and do some rewiring here so that under normal conditions throughout the day, this thing, like I've mentioned in other videos, will typically hold its heat for 3-4 hours depending on how often the recirc pump over there runs to keep the hot water right at the manifold. Every couple of hours or so during the day when that's running, it has to fire both units for 3 minutes, reheat the tank. You know, it uses gas, you're firing 2 units. It's not a horrible amount, and our gas bills in the summer are not bad. But with solar panels, I'm pretty sure I could wire this in so that that electric heating element will basically keep the tank warm so that these will never have to fire other than when the temperature of that tank drops below a certain temperature, which I can program in on that aquastat. In other words, when somebody's in the shower, when somebody's, you know, using a lot of hot water, yes, this is only a 20-gallon tank. It's not going to keep up with back-to-back showers or a high demand. Well, that's when these units could come in and help it out. But for the everyday standby, you know, little bit of whatever during the day, nobody's here. I mean, during the day when nobody's here, I usually have that recirc pump off so that it won't run. But even when we are here throughout the evenings, we're not typically using a lot of hot water. Well, the tank is still losing temperature to the recirc pump. It's losing temperature to the atmosphere, although not a lot. And so anyway, I thought, well, maybe there's a way I can hook this up, wire this so that, say, this thermostat, or maybe I'll get another aquastat because I really like these. I'll mount another one here. Say this will keep that tank electric up to between 125 and 130. Okay, and I'll have to play with that, and that's where it's nice to have a digital one because you can really dial it in. But then say, okay, there's a shower or a high demand and it drops below, you know, again, I don't know the numbers. I've got to test all this, but let's say right now this comes on when it drops below, I believe it's 125 or 126 right now. Right now we are at 131 with a 6-degree differential. So below 125, this aquastat will fire that pump and circulate the tank below 125. Okay, so let's say that maybe we have this electric heating element keep the tank to between 128 and 131. So if it gets down to 128, the heating element comes on, brings it back up to 131, something like that. All right, well then what we could do is say, okay, well, if the tank ever drops below 125, then we know that this heating element is not keeping up, because that must mean that there is a hot water draw that is drawing more than this can help. So normally if there's no draw on it and it drops to 128, the heating element will come on, bring it back up to 131. You know, won't use any gas, it'll just use electricity. Well, if you have solar panels, you're offsetting the cost of that electricity, right? But if it gets down below 125, now you know that there must be a draw in the system somewhere, and obviously this can't keep up. So then what I could do is, through some relays, have this turn off, because I wouldn't want this on and the tankless units on. It would kind of, I mean, it might recover the tank faster, but if you're firing up these bad boys to recirc the tank, why bother with the electricity for this, you know? So possibly through some normally open, normally closed, fancy wiring, which I'll do a video on when I do it. When it drops below 125, for example, the pump fires just like it does now, but this turns off, okay? And then that'll stay off until it gets, you know, back up to, till this other aquastat, this one now, gets back up to 131 or whatever, and then it'll turn off. And when that turns off, everything will go back to normal, where the relay will open or close, however I wire it, and then the heating element will be in standby. Drops below 128, that comes on. So anyway, just a sneak peek of what's to come. I'm excited about the solar panels. I'll do some videos on the installation of those. I'll try to get some drone shots up on the roof, and that'll be a fun project. We're looking forward to that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of converting this over a little bit to make it a little bit more efficient. We're putting like a 9,500 kilowatt system on the roof, sun power panels. So here in New York and Buffalo, we do have net metering, so anything we produce excess in the summer we can use in the winter. So my hope is I can run all these pumps in the winter for the snow melt, the radiant, the floors, the basement, the garage, even the pumps and electricity for the circulate the hot water tank, basically for free. That's the hope anyway. We'll see how it all plays out, but looking at the past 2 years worth of data, that should pretty much be the case. I know what we used the past 2 years, and we should come in under that, so we should be good. So anyway, yeah, for those of you that stuck around, just a little sneak peek of what's to come, and that's kind of why the cover off's there. I've been looking at doing some wiring changes, and that's what we're going to be doing. So look forward to that. If you're here and you're not subscribed, I really would appreciate that. It helps me out, makes it gives me the time and more enticing to make these videos for you. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.